Well, hello. I am currently trying to work on trying to prep for Kingdom Hunters coming up here pretty soon. Now to begin with, all right, about an hour and 30 minutes. We got plenty of time, but I'm still coughing up a lung because I just recently made some pepper powder, which, as you can see, this is a ball jar. Gives you an idea just how much I had, but this is all ghost pepper, habanero, scotch bonnet, the whole shebang. I mixed it all in one. Now, in all honesty, I don't recommend anybody ever make that kind of stuff because that shit's. I mean, it's hot enough that if I open that can, it aerosols, and it's like you almost immediately you're in for some trouble. And you're in trouble because it's there. It's so strong that you will not regret your decisions. Now, how do you make it? Well, so pretty much to make this stuff, I mean, really all you got to do is you got to grow some ghost peppers, habaneros, or you get them from a local market, whatever, right? And then what you do is you get a dehumidifier, and you basically dry these out. And then when you dry them out, you can either take a mortar and pestle and muscle them, or in my case, I used basically a food processor. It's just nothing more than it's basically a blender. It's really all it is, right? But then once you blend it and it gets into this powder form, you better be careful because you get that stuff. The biggest mistake I made, at least when I put it in this jar, I didn't think, oh, okay, I drop powder into jar. And what does powder do when it hits into a jar? It turns into a cloud. Oh, yeah, that went all up into my nose. It'll clear your sinuses. I'll promise you that. And now I'm like terrified to use my hands because I touch my eyeball and I'm probably going to feel the sting. So I'm hoping I don't do that. I'm already, my lungs are already way inflamed, but I'm drinking a little bit of soda to kind of maybe make it go away. Normally, it's not that big of a deal, but I just thought I'd show you guys that because in case you're wondering why my breathing is like sort of a little bit iffy, that's part of the reason why. I just got done doing that. Now, I don't know, as far as Kingdom Hunters is concerned, pretty much Kingdom Hunters is going to be kind of interesting because this is probably the first time in a while that I've actually taken it, at least to a degree, serious more than I usually do. Partly because it's kind of an opportune time to do it, but also because, well, there was some discussion, right? More or less, 3.46 million, two types, 1 mil in teeth range, 3.1 in T3, and then 100k or so in infant calf. And, it's like pretty much anybody that sees 250, they're either going to solo it or they're going to rally it. And more often than not, they're going to rally it. Because somebody sees 250, panics, and goes, well, yeah, fuck that shit. Ain't nobody going to solo that shit. Unless you're, balls to the wall, I think you know everything. Because chances are you're probably not going to get soloed. So solo trapping doesn't seem very viable. Or when it does happen, it's just, by playing dead. And so it got me thinking, like, alright, I could rebuild this, change it out a little bit. And there is one alternative, and I've thought about building a rally trap out of it. Because if I build a rally trap out of it, all I'd have to do, did you not, I'd stay at the same height. Based on what people were doing anyway, when they were hitting me, anyway, is you just as easily take the T3 out of the equation, right? Take the 3.1 million range and dedicate about 700k across, rather than have all of that might into one troop type. And I got to thinking about that, and I'm like, without having to adjust a whole lot of anything, really. I could just take the T3 out, keep the comp the same for the most part, and put 700,000 T4, and I could do the exact same thing I'm doing to people on these single rallies, right? And I could eat a rally that way. Because from what I can tell, now, yeah, okay, I'm not going to be taking a rally from somebody that's probably Mythic Champ by any means, right? At least not right away. But when your composition is no more than 12 mil, and I've seen a lot of people that, yeah, okay, I'm doing 1.6, 1.7. You know, what do you do about the people that are doing 2.3 maxed out, bang balls to the wall, all T5? You know, it's like, chances are I probably won't get away with that. Like, the balls to the wall T5s, I'm probably going to end up shielding them. If that happens, there's just not really, there's not a lot of room to fuck with there. I mean, my main account's a different story, though. You know, it's like, if I wanted to do multi-party rally trapping and shit, you know, granted, okay, my main account, all right, it's 1.3 billion. I got 700 and some odd million kills on it. And this is the account that I kind of started out rally trapping with, right? And now I can't really rally trap. It's, you know, it's too fucking big, right? But it kind of got me thinking, okay, sure. With a little bit of tweaking, you can say I don't have very many troops on this account, which, yeah, pray to God nobody decides that, oh yeah, I'm going to rally this. They do, I can, you know, I could eat a rally in this account, even with 7 million troops. It's just that, you know, quad rally, and I'd probably panic a little bit. You know, the big question is, you know, okay, what about Jade Worm, you know, and what about the Chronicler? You know, I don't know. I thought about it. You know, it's like I seriously had some questions. Damo kind of got me thinking about it. You know, it's like, well, how big of a deal are heroes, really? I mean, I even thought about, you know, well, like, what's the 7 worst heroes in Lords Mobile? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I could make a video about that. Like, why is this hero worse than the other? Why is this one better than the other? And when you're just looking at pay-to-win heroes for the sake of pay-to-win heroes, the only time where I ever feel like a hero is shittier than other heroes just depends on what you're using them for, you know? Like, I look at Vengeful Centaur and I say, yeah, he's not very good. And I say that because, yeah, he's research boost. But if you're using him in battle, he's garbage. If you use him in Coliseum, he's garbage. Magmaroid, same deal. You know, it's like, okay, these are passives, which is fine and all. 10% passive is fine. These are great things. But if you use them in War, garbage. You know, and if you're using him in Colo, garbage. So his selling point isn't the fact that he's, you know, for Colo or for War. He's used primarily just to boost your stats. And beyond that, not much else, you know, and Necroduke is the same shit with Magmaroid, or, I don't know who else there was, I remember there being another. But like Don Guapo, Snail, and Cursed, wait, what's the combination between? It's just the Wonder Army, right? It's the same deal. Like, I don't care about their freaking battle skills. The hero skills wise, you know, yeah, you know, Don Guapo's got a place, he's a semi-mid tank. Cursed Hunter's got this mid to somewhat useful Demon Hunter replacement, but even then, it's not very, you know, not very good compared to, like, you know, some other combinations. But then, you know, it's like you look at, like, all the other extreme combinations that people come up with like Grove Guardian, or the combinations that, you know, where if it's just a pure unit type, you got Grimwolf giving you like a 30% bonus here, a 50% bonus there, and 25 here. So the question is, like, really, how big of a difference are those heroes making compared to, like, not having them? You know, it's like, I even look at, like, Pegasus, and Pegasus is interesting because, really, you don't get Pegasus unless you actually had been around for the event. This guy is pretty much a walking temple to the people that have just been around. You know, it's like, you don't run into this guy, you're not going to see him anywhere else. So it's going to be kind of fascinating, to say the least, like, what do people do with this information? You know, as far as maxing them out goes, I mean, I don't know. I never really got a chance to just sit down and actually critically look at it. But, I mean, you look at his abilities and shit, and it's like, yeah, okay, this guy's kind of cool because he can revive. He's got a pretty interesting physical damage hit on him. And Coliseum-wise, this guy is kind of fascinating. Like, he's got some skills that, you know, I don't know, you could beg to argue that that's maybe not such a bad idea. But even then, right, you look at all the heroes in the game, you look at all the, the nitpicks. The nitpicks, in my world, are when I look at people with the FAMs. Like, the FAMs are a big fucking deal. I think they're still a big deal. And I say that because, looking at this, it's like, okay, that's a damage over time effect. 150% every 4 seconds. You're doing 150% up to 5 times to the largest enemy squad whenever you lose 8%. Obviously, if you lose 8%, yeah, you're already in the hole 8%. But you're going to do 150% of whatever you were doing up to 5 times for 4 seconds. You look at Jade Worm. It's like 9% when 4% of your troops have fallen. Is that, and then for how long? Is that throughout the whole fucking battle? Because if it's throughout the whole battle, that's a 10% guaranteed not, you're going to deduce the amount of damage you're taking throughout the whole battle. And chances are, it's probably got a timer on it, if I had to guess. Shit like that's way too overpowered. I mean, because you stack up, and again, it's just like, it's like when you look at like Black Queen, 600% on an initial range march, the largest enemy squad, when 4% of your troops have fallen. And what that enemy squad could be, I don't know. If they're sending like full fucking cav at your ass, 600% on a single squad is going to be a fairly freaking big drop. So I look at these 600% bonus here, familiars, and those are a big deal. Like a person that's got any of those damage over time or the 600% boosts, those make a pretty fucking significant deal. Now I look at like Helldrider, and I'm still questioning this guy. He petrifies one of the largest enemy squads for 11 seconds when 7% falls, which means he just slows them down. Now, if you're trapping and you can stop a march for a whole whopping 11 seconds, that's pretty long. That's a lot of time to sit there and get fucking hit. Okay? You look at like somebody like that with like Mega Maggot, where you're stunning all the enemy heroes for 1.4, a whole whopping 11 seconds on a single squad is a pretty big deal. Like, it's hard to ignore that. I look at that and I still think, maybe. That may not be such a bad idea. Now, I look at like people like fucking Title Titan. There ain't no fucking... It's no excuse. There will be a goddamn army talent for this at some point. I don't know what it'll be, but it's just a matter of when. Because, like I'd been saying before, when I was looking at, the other familiars in the game, it's just a given. You look at that slot, at some point somebody's going to fill that slot. I mean, Mecha Trojan's the same way. So there's other Pack 5s out there that they could flip the fucking table by, this year or next. That they could by just introducing a new talent, you could flip the fucking table pretty damn easily. Now, it's not to say that there isn't anything you can do. It's just that there aren't very many familiars left in the game that don't have a skill. Because they've already filled the void with a lot of these with, 60% and 60% on HP. Which, by the way, from what I can tell, at least on a solo trap, that's a pretty freaking helpful bonus. You get a 60% jump in your HP and attack. Because one thing that seems to hold back a lot of trap accounts in general is the fact that they're not unequal with the people that are sitting here on artifacts right now. And one thing that's throwing people off, I think, is that when you look at artifacts, I mean, you look at it and it's a giant fucking money pit, right? But ultimately, what is coming out of this? What do you get? You get all these bonuses, but the main thing that stands out to me is the HP and the attack bonuses. Because by having more HP, you basically break the game a little bit. Because people are usually improving their attack. So the moment you start increasing your HP and you're able to increase that within tandem with your attack, you effectively make your march live longer and simultaneously do more damage. And so like on my main account, I'm doing 28 and 26, which is fucking meager compared to a lot of other people that have spent a shitload of money on the game. Which arguably some of them might even be money laundering for all I fucking know. I mean, I look at it and I wouldn't be surprised. Because some people, it's such an astronomical amount of money. And you just start to you begin to press F to doubt as to whether or not are they really spending that kind of money? Are they really of their own money? Because the first time when we first started seeing it, I was like, yeah, okay, he's definitely being bankrolled by an entire business to do what he's doing. Now it's like, okay, this guy's got connections to the cartel, or he's doing something he's not supposed to be doing. There's no way in hell to fucking do what he's doing. Like, you just can't. I don't know. You can jump to conclusions. It's easy to do, but in a game like this, it's a mobile game, and it's like, yeah, you can't help but wonder, right? So, for KVK, the main thing is, unlike my main account, right? Composition-wise, it's pretty dog shit right now. I had to drop a shitload of troops and a shit ton of might just so I could migrate. Conveniently, every time I fucking do that, not long after, I'm probably getting told, "Oh yeah, we're gonna want to leave the kingdom now." Like, I just want to snap my fingers in half because it's like, fuck. It better not cost more than 2 or 3 scrolls, because if it does, I'm not gonna be able to go, and it happens every time. After a certain point, I really just start to think, at least in this game anyway, if your core might's 1 billion, you're just pretty much better off staying in kingdoms where everyone is 1 billion. Because you're not going to get to play. I mean, you can go into small kingdoms and you can play that ball if you want to, but you're not going to be able to. And even the rally traps, the solo traps and shit like that, you gotta be careful with that quest might or anything like that, because once you append might to your account by research, when you jump too far ahead, this game really fucking screws you over into a situation where you are pretty much forced to spend money on the game if you even want to play the game. I mean, that's the thing that I don't like about it. I could tolerate it to some extent if I could just fucking move where I wanted to. If I waited for 3 months even, I don't give a damn. But it's stupid that I have to sit there and wait for a stupendous amount of time to get guild coins or pay $5 for a single fucking scroll. And I'm gonna bitch to a fucking moon about that shit for the longest time because I still think it's bullshit. I just do. I fucking hate it. Because it's the only thing that stops me from being able to go where I want to go. It's the only thing that makes any amount of difference from one kingdom to the next. The people that bullshit argue that, oh, well, fucking, if you made it easy for people to migrate from point A to point B, they couldn't keep the stability of the servers. Or, oh, well, you'd make it too fucking easy for the, people to go ruin other accounts and shit like that. Well, yeah, that's part of the fucking game as far as I'm concerned. Like, if you're afraid of that, I'm sorry, you're probably going to run into that problem anywhere you go. That's not really an argument. As for the stability of the servers, I don't fucking know. That's on them to figure out, not me. Like, I don't know how they can handle it already, unless, I don't know, if they can, and if they can, well, why the fuck not? But God, I don't know. Main thing is, right now, okay, sitting on, like, Rickus Rick. Rickus Rick is nothing more than a basic, simple, over-fat size solo trap. Main account's pretty much, overblown to a certain extent in terms of might and everything, but it could rally if it's got people that join it, right? Because I don't have terrible cav gear. I don't have terrible range gear. Could it be better jewel-wise? Fuck yeah. I could spend a little bit and I'd probably be a lot better off. Because all my gear sets are pretty much, they're not great. They're not the top dollar fucking sets, but, it's like, after a certain point, really, who gives a shit? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 75, 80, 90, 100%. It's like, okay, whoop-de-doo. Like, you're going to go up 200 or 300% for another $5,000 or $6,000 more dollars. I ain't got that kind of time or that kind of money. Like, you either play with the people that have it or don't, and it's just ultimately what it comes down to. But if you're going to be fucking with people that are that extreme, you're just better off paying with the players that wind up spending that kind of money. If that's their thing, then, all the power to you. But the way I see it, and this is with Kingdom Hunters coming up in practice, right? There's a couple of ways you can play it. Now, if going back and looking at my alt, okay, there's a couple of ways you can play it. You can either sit there and play dead, which is my preferred way of doing it in the beginning of a KVK. So all you gotta do is basically just go pop your shield, go over to Wonders Province, port by, and just sit. That's it. That's literally all you need to do. You don't need to do fuck all anything else. You can also get incredibly aggressive. Let's say, for example, I don't know, if I felt like I was going to be real stupid, I could just take, say, a mil or so of my sharpshooters and hide them. That should be within reason possible. And then all you see is the 3.1 and the 3.5 on both sides. Is that still going to be a little concerning for the guy on the other end? Probably. You know, and the main thing is to anti-scout or not to anti-scout. That's really what it comes down to. Because if you do an anti-scout, they're going to either panic or they're going to take a risk. It's going to be one or the other. They're either going to risk and then proceed to rally you after, or they're not going to risk and rally you first. Either way, you're pretty much having to decide whether or not how you want to play the game right from the get-go. And I know a couple of ways where, hell, I could take a couple rallies, okay, and let a full rally hit me, but counter it, and take the reds, and fucking suck it for this KVK. And I'm willing to do it. In part because, like I was saying earlier, I've already got some ambitions on just reformatting the comp a little bit so that it can compensate for rallies in a better way. Because, again, the way this was designed was not really intentionally used as a solo. I mean, I kind of knew once I started adding might, I went over and I knew right then and there I went too far. And I still look at it and I go, well, I probably should not have done that, but I did it anyway. I basically added T4 on there. The moment you tack T4 on, you've gone too far. You could maybe even get top 10 on these. Even that's pushing it. It's like, if you leave yourself in the 180, the 170 range as far as a solo trap is concerned, you're not going to have a whole lot of trouble getting somebody to hit you, but at the same time, you're also going to have a hard time dealing with the people that are fucking maxed out and 700-800% at the same time. It's just kind of a gamble that you have to play. And I'd argue, between solo trapping and garrison trapping, I still kill a shitload more doing a garrison trap than a solo trap ever did. As far as I can tell. Like, a solo trap is pushing its fucking luck. Because every time it goes into it, it's expecting that whoever's going to hit them, they're going to eat the march and hold the lead and run off. That doesn't fucking hold it, though. 600% free to play, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Because, like, looking at it right now, I'm like, what, fucking 200? 200 and, 150 on that? And it's like, stat-wise, there's like 200 there, so that puts me at 8,500 at best. And then if I look at my main account, which is a little different of an animal. Let's see if we can pull it out here. I'm gonna like swap between, but if I look at like my main account, there's like what? There's infantry 446 off of a core changing talents of 216, which puts me right at 600, 650-ish, probably, right around. Is it best to counter a rally or state mixed if you have the time? I'm a farmer with no war experience, thanks for any help. The main thing is if somebody sends range at you, if you set an inf, they're fucked. If you send cav, you're fucked if you get hit, if sitting in range. Now, the question is whether or not do you have the time? Okay, well, that's a good question. You got usually 5 to 6 seconds, unless they speed a march up. Maybe. So some people, what they'll do is they'll waste the 2 or 3 seconds they have to swap their gear and the last 2-3 seconds to swap their phalanx. I'm of the opinion, if you swap your phalanx, worry about the gear after the fact, you're generally going to find yourself losing a lot less troops. Now, what you get rained with, if you get rains at all, can be a big factor. I'd like to say that, when some people come up to me and they're like, fuck, dude, do I send you T5, T4, or T2? I like T2, weirdly enough. Because if a guy sends me 1,000,000 T2, chances are, if he hits me, the 1,000,000 or so T2 that he sent me are going to soak all the fucking hits for me. The remainder of my comp will do the rest. So if I end up losing some reds, then I just eat the fucking bullet and eat the reds. which isn't so bad. Now, it all depends on what your composition is, because, ultimately, yeah, taking fucking 2 or 3 million T2 when you only have 5 million T2 is not really exactly wise, because you don't really have the comp to eat. So it really does depend on what you have. If you don't have any T5, yeah, getting somebody to give you T5 is probably better than not having any T5. But you're still going to have to think in terms of what is soaking it. This is why, if let's say somebody joins, in T2, yeah, there's a chance that if he sends Blackwing, he's going to kill all your damn T2. But T2 are fairly fucking inexpensive, so people don't really care. It's kind of an iffy game to begin with when you start playing that ball. I'd say about the only thing you can do, though, especially as a farmer anyway, is if you don't want to get hit, then don't. I say this in general. Being the guy who's getting hit, you are more likely to lose something than you are to get something or win something. Now, I would say that over time, the game has definitely favored the people that defend, in the fact that by having the sanctuary, in my head, I can lose. If I attack somebody, and I attack and I send like 500,000, a mil, whatever, if I send it, I don't get anything back. Little to nothing comes back. I lose it. It's gone. If it dies, it's dead. If you defend, however, I can just assume 50% of it's going to come back, irregardless of whether or not I was preparing to get hit or not. Like, I guarantee we'll lose 50%, but I will always get 50% of it back, which isn't that bad. And I only say that because the en route is what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about, the troops that are sitting in my fucking mix. Because those, as you can tell, compared to like getting hit, had I had somebody rally me out instead, it would have taken less time to get the same number of troops with less resources and still be able to migrate. I just happened to feel like, soloing a bunch of people out. And I did learn something that day. Okay? If somebody is basically not anti-scouted and leaderless at the same time, and they've got like 5 or 6, I could fucking solo that guy out. Using my, without a lead, I could sit there and hit his front line. And if he doesn't change that front line, I can counter and start killing 400,000 to 500,000 T2. Just sitting there going back to back. Because the familiars and the core stats are all that get thrown in. Because naturally, if you're leaderless, all that matters is your core stats. And those familiars amplify it. So if you're, hitting somebody that's setting an M phalanx, and you're hitting core stats with a 600% boost in Cav, for example, and you're hitting Inf, that's going to tag up pretty goddamn fast. And you can kill a shitload of troops at a really quick amount of time. It's one of those little details. Now, obviously, the breaking point, from my memory anyway, is around 2 million troops. And that's when you can throw your leader in, and as long as you're hitting the counter, you're fine. It'll walk back as long as you've got, 200 to 300 siege. As long as you got some siege in there, you're fine. But, it's just, it all depends on what you're wanting to do, how you're wanting to do it. And, ultimately, this game is kind of a kerfluffle at times, because every time IGG decides, oh, yeah, well, we're going to add a fucking feature, it can really screw with people. Now, I don't know, let's see. What do you think about my gear? Okay, so you've got one of the best range pieces. The Inf piece is not the best Inf piece in the game anymore. It used to be, but the most affordable Inf piece. It's like second and slot in terms of choices. It used to be the best one, but I'd say, as far as that goes, it's not bad. Winter Metz is HP, and that's debatable depending on who you talk to. Some people will tell you that, yeah, the HP is fine. Other people will tell you, yeah, no, if you're attacking players, you don't want it. You want, something more like Eternal Codex, or you want something that adds to your attack. It just depends on what you're doing, And as far as your leggings go, your leggings are like your weakest piece in the set, because that's not adding a whole lot of anything. The natural progression for a lot of people from those is to go to the talons, but it just depends on what you're wanting to do. As for the 3 best, in slot pieces here. You're kind of doing a drum. This is kind of a budget build in a way that what you've constructed here. The only problem with your budget build is that firewall plate's going to cost you a fair bit, and that wormbone cornet's going to cost you a fair bit. Those are like the two. Well, probably that and the lash. Between these three pieces are the most expensive pieces. The mitts will be easy, but these three slots here, I mean, this gives you wall defense and it also gives you some HP. So these are really only going to be giving you bonuses to just those two individual unit types, and it doesn't really help you if you're wanting cav damage across flat or if you want range, or imp flat. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to work on this and if you're going to modify it and do anything meaningful with it, it really just comes down to whether or not you want to stick to two types. Because I'm of the opinion that a lot of people like to do mix, and they do mix because they assume the guy who's going to rally or solo their ass is going to be sending whatever the hell. But really, when you think about it, most sets in this game are really benefiting you if you do a two-type. And the nice thing about a two-type is that you can even take that two-type set and you can rally people with a two-type set. Because people that leverage Inf and range or Cav and range or, or even Cav and Inf or range on Inf and, whatever combination that you would decide to do with the two-type combination, the nice thing about that is that can work into rallies as well as work into, say, like if you're rally trapping or solo trapping. Generally speaking, you don't need to have all three at the same time. Granted, yeah, it helps because if somebody sends Inf and you don't have Cav or Inf is not your strongest line, the problem with doing like type on type hits is you generally end up losing a lot of troops anyway, because you're basically it's null and void as to who's winning at that point, because the only thing that matters is whoever's stats are bigger, and generally if you're getting hit you're usually on the losing end of that because the guy on the other end's probably spent a lot more and has a lot more stats. But that's 200 to 300% usually that they have on you, which can make a hell of a difference. But it's just, when you're starting to talk practicality as far as this gear set goes, I mean, I would say you could keep working on this set because these are all good pieces. Okay, these are all pieces that at one point or another you're going to end up using them, and you'll want to build up those sets. There's really nothing wrong with this. I would just say that ultimately, long term, there's always going to be something better. And that's really the only problem with this set of gear. It's just that, yeah, it'll get you through when you're at like 118 right now. When you start to get to 187, and that's really about the peak point, right? The main thing a lot of people don't think about, and I say this as somebody that's, like I've played the game enough that I've played. I've done it. I've done that, did that. I can tell you, if you limit the number of heroes you max out, okay, and then you don't accept any of your turf quests, you just leave them there, okay? If you do what I'm suggesting, all I'm saying is be very selective about your research and be very selective with your turf might. You can keep your might low enough that what you can do is take a simple set like you're wearing right now, build up a combination of like either 3 million or so roughly T3 in one type, and then build like 3.5 million or so T2 on both sides and a mil or so range, and you can solo trap. Alternatively, the equivalent to that is 700,000 T4 across, and then you can do 3 million or so T2, and it'll effectively do the same damn thing. It's just whatever you prefer to do. If you're wanting to say lower on might, T3 is the better way to do it, because then you don't have the research might that you get with T4s. And so it really just becomes a question of where you are at in the game. And I'm just saying that, if you're wanting to solo trap, that's one way to do it. You can also eat a rally doing it too, with that composition. I mean, I've done it. I've shown people, yeah, a solo trap composition can eat a rally. You just can't take a full 2.3 or 2.375. It's got to be like a mil to a mil and a half, 1.6. If it's in that range, you'll be fine. If you try to do anything above that, you're going to start taking a fair amount of reds. And if it only gets worse, if that guy's champion. Oh, welcome, Elder. Welcome. Spoil Macbeth. My pick. I don't know. I am thinking of Macbeth when I see that. Ah, fuck yeah. You know it's bad when I'm trying to spell and I can't even spell. Oh dear. Oh, I cannot spell. We're screwed. Yeah. Yeah, I can't cannot spell. It's a bad day. Cannot spell at all. Pretty sure I can't spell. Yeah, that's really the problem here. Unless that's an I. I'll try that out. Try that and say, no, it's not an I. Let's see. I'm gonna try this again. Well, somewhere in there, as I'm typing, it's incorrect. I ain't got a fucking clue where though. But you know, anyway. Okay, so you want me to check his gear. And I'm looking at his gear. And I can tell right at a glance it's like inf right away. But then you put in, well, isn't that the champ light? I think that is a champ light, which is Cav. Isn't it? Yeah, at least I think it is. Champion Edge. Champion Strides, and then you've got the Inf piece, but then you've got a pair of Inf range Brosial Cups at Mythic, but for whatever reason you don't have them astrolighted. I'm guessing that's... I mean, you got a fair bit in Astrolight. You've got some Castle Stars. I mean, Astrolight looks impressive, don't get me wrong, but when you think about it, it's like, God, that's just a lot of money in Astrolight. If you think about it long enough. It's quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, the game kind of does. It can definitely suck life out of you if you let it. I've just kind of gotten used to it. Like I just bullshit on it now. Like I really just I look at it and go, okay. You know, whatever the outcome may be, but God, yeah, no, you got me thinking. Like, I'm pretty sure, at least based on stats, with Mythic Champ, this guy will fucking roll through somebody with infantry pretty goddamn well. Like, somebody gets hit by this guy in infantry, they've really gotten hurt. Like, this guy's gonna do some damage in infant range. Like, that's gonna hurt. Now, only question is, I can't remember. I could have sworn, and maybe I'm wrong. But that offhand is the only thing that makes me go, why? Unless I'm fucking stupid and I can't remember what the offhand stats were. And I've almost memorized a lot of these over time, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's... God damn, where the hell even is it? It would help if I knew where the hell it was. Yeah, because there's the champ light. It's Imp Cav. So it's 49% Imp. So he's tacking it on because he's going to get another 6-7%. I see. So, I mean, that makes sense. I can see why it's just a little bit of an increase, but it's enough that it's like, okay, you know, tack that on and you're all good and gravy. Now, I mean, the Valors and the Faiths and the Blessings, those are a goddamn bitch to make, but if that's 21%, right, and he's getting 14, that's really 34 or 35%, right? 35% max HP. The guy's gonna blow through anybody on Imp. Almost always. I mean, unless he gets into, you know, somebody like Sneaky or them, he winds up, you know, he's gonna have to play with Culture or Woody. You know, you start playing with people like that, and you then it just becomes a question of who has more money. But I mean, Bon Appetit 35. Assuming you had another cup and you had 3 cups, you're getting 21 and 35 there, as opposed to a whole set of Valors versus a whole set of Blessings or even a whole set of, you know, like Faiths, for example. like you can kind of see why that makes a difference, because here you've got 35 in HP and 35 in attack basically. But the thing about faiths is you're adding cav and imp, so you actually fill the void that you don't have in the cav department. Even though you're probably not going to focus on imp cav very much, it's just that set kind of focuses in on imp cav. So it becomes a question of then, well, what's more important? If you're really focusing on imp range, you really want the blessings then, because you're getting 30. You're going to be tacking on more range damage. And then if you don't focus on the cab isn't really important. So then the only thing you focus in on really is just the infantry and the range, because the blessing is more of your equivalent with the with the actual cup. Is the only catch, I guess. I mean, because if you look at it, I mean, it's not what 21 versus 35. It's obviously getting those maxed out. That's fucking not cheap. Even to get them to mythic and then let alone astrolite, that ain't cheap. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as how do you work on that and make it any better than it is, it's just really going to be dependent on what kind of rallies you send. But based on that, just looking at it, like that's really funny. Can I misspell it? Oh yeah, I can even misspell it because apparently nobody uses the name. But I mean, shit. Infant range is pretty much predominantly what this is going to be used for, and you really just focus in and on the inf side of it really well. But the only catch is, and I think this is dependent on like, yeah, you got 22 blessed artifacts. I would be curious if you put yourself in a lineup against all the top inf players in the game. I mean, really, your only disadvantage right now is just the fact that you either don't have a pair of blessings or a pair of faiths. Because this would all complement your cav side, but then it would seem really pointless, right? Because you don't really want valors over here. You don't want faiths over here. What you really want isn't really a faith, but a blessing. Because then you're going to complement the infant range part of this. And the only thing that won't complement it will be this one piece. But it's only because you're giving yourself that much more in inf. Simultaneously, you could, I guess, give up the 6 or 7% that you're getting in that front, right? And let's say instead you went with the offhand that buffs freaking range and inf at the same time. I believe they do have, right? At least I think. That'd be the Katar. And then you'd be doing 49, 42. But this is kind of the same problem. Because I say that because I've seen people, what they'll do is they'll build themselves like a champ lamp and get the infant range, and then they'll build a champ light. So they have the cav and imp, and they'll build, basically 2 offhands, depending on what they're doing. And that's all they have to change. So basically if they rally somebody, they go imp. Okay, well, we'll wear the light. No, I'm going range, and then they swap to the lamp. But obviously, that's a luxury. That's one of those things that where it's like, if you got the money and you can do it, great. If not, that's what you got. It's just a stupid amount of money to get there, and it takes a lot of fucking time to do it. Oh, good lord. 7 million HT4, 9 million HT2, so my fat easy target. Don't get Kingdom 409. Not many bigs around here. I've just never dropped a shield. Best to counter rally. I mean, when you've got 7 million T4, man, you really don't have to sweat fucking shit, really. Like, even if I had 1 million or so T2, I wouldn't care. Right now, if I look at my comp, and if somebody rallied me on my main account, I would take it. Okay? I can kind of show you what I mean by this. Because if you look at my main, I've only got 1.5 million, 7 million troops. I'll still take a rally. And this looks bad, but I could do it. I mean, it can be done. Now, the main thing is that if I did take it, take a wild guess what I'm probably taking it in. Just based on what I have for troops here. What am I taking it in? Well, it's sure as fuck ain't inf, sure as fuck ain't cav. More than likely, I'm going to be taking it in range. But it's a little deceiving because you also see I've got T5. That's the catch. The T5 is the big difference here. Because you look at it, if you're looking at the T4 alone, it looks like, yeah, you're fucked if you get hit by Cav, you're fucked if you get hit by Imp, if you're in those front lines. Meaning, if I get hit by range, it'll suck. I'll survive, but it'll suck. If I get hit by somebody that's sending range, it's gonna suck. I mean, that's really all there is to it. So then I have to choose: do I sit in range, or do I take it in imp? You know, it's like with 7 million or so troops, what do you choose? Well, most of the time, I'm probably going to sit in range, because range on range, I'll survive. And if I sit in imp, I'll play it. I'll play that card. It'll probably take, 400 or 500k. I'll get half of it back. It won't matter. It's only because I'm 600 or so percent with 600 or so percent in familiar. That's why I don't care. Because on an account like this, it's like there's only probably out of 100% of all the player base, there's probably less than 5% that can probably hit on par with what I've got in terms of gear and stats. And the 5% that are out there that are going to screw with me are usually the same people that I don't want to screw with. So I don't even, unless I get forced into that situation, I usually don't. It's like, you can avoid it. And you don't have to go down that route. But, just like anything, it's like, how do you practice? How do you prep? How do you build? That's the thing. Now, I should mention, okay, I do have a couple of more quests to do for the day. And I can, at any point, just bring in 267,024 into the running. But I still got, time. Lots and lots of time before I ever decide to do that. And chances are, for KVK, it's mostly going to be focused on the trap, I think. Unless I decide to do something really fucking stupid. Like, for example, I might take a rally or two in range for anything, just so that I can rebuild it and make it into a rally trap. But, I mean, whatever I decide to do, I guess. Oh, man, I don't even know where to go from here, though. It's like, this is one of those things. I'm going to take a small break. I'm going to go to the bathroom, so I will be back. And it will not be long, so hold on. Alright, and like I said, it wasn't going to take me too much longer, so here I am, lo and behold. But, man, oh man, oh man. Well, let's look at my alt here. So we got couple of min quests to grab here. Nope, and not just, let me see if I can change the audio here. So you guys can hear actually hear the audio of the game. Yeah, see, I don't know why that is, but like, fucking audio devices are all screwed up. Something that Microsoft likes to do. As far as artifacts go, though, I've pretty much adhered to the logic that, yeah, I'm not going to bother with inf bonuses, range bonuses, and cav bonuses if they're leader-based and they're not fury-based. It's like, basically, if it's fury-based, I'm not going to touch it. with a 5-foot pole. Like this one I've already touched a little bit. But I think I was doing it mainly because the shards are there. And the opportune moment to gain shards is never a bad thing. Never go wrong with that. Like here I could probably go ahead and get a 0.6% gain. Doesn't really do a whole lot of good, but these are all fury, but nah. No. Like this one, yeah, we'll upgrade it. Can't go wrong there. And it's a tiny, tiny amount, but I mean, I'll take it, you know. Just the little bonuses that you get. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, boy. Let's see now. I think just for shits and gigs, because a lot of people probably have picked up on the fact that my name is the Rickus Rick. I've used Rickus Rick for a while. I think we're going to come up with a convenient name. Does anybody want to contribute to the new name? You are welcome to add suggestions from all ears. I've only got 15 reloads. That could be too little or not enough. We'll see. We will see. I'm of the opinion, I always like to think of a name that will certainly bust a laugh. I just don't know what that name's going to be today. I wonder, has anyone ever made this name? Nobody has. What about Ludwig? What about Ludwig? Somebody's taking Ludwig. That's too bad. But you can take Asmongold in Lord's Mobile. Oh shit. That's funny. Got me wondering, what about this? No? What about this? You could do that if you wanted to. That's funny. Let's see. What about if I was to name myself? Let's see. Let me look up Lord's Mobile here for a minute. I need some naming conventions here to follow. There's Star-Lord, Virus Plus, there's Sparty, Duck Hunter, Oh Look the Best, Codes, Blenger, Coup Culture, Evil Aladdin. Okay. Savage Coco even. Crazy Gamer 91. Ether Trap. Ark and I am Naveen. I've remembered Naveen. Remember Naveen. Brando. Hua Ling? Or is it Hui Ling? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea if the pronunciation is that is even close. But it does make me wonder, right? So I could shit, I don't know. I gotta think. What kind of name are we gonna name this? That's the question. What do we name this? There's many different ways we could play this. What do you guys think? Enter a name. I just don't know what I want to come up with. I mean, I guess I could probably do... What if I did this? No? What about this? No? What about this? So most of the popular TV shows have been acquired. What about something as simple as this? Or something that's a little bit less vague and maybe not so known. How about... It's already being used. Okay. What about... Powder Specialist? Oh, that doesn't work. Never mind. Too long. I come up with a name here. God damn. What's a good name? I could also probably avoid putting names in there like trap or anything. That'd be way too obvious. But how about you can call yourself Ether, can't you? No? Ether lol. You can do that. Um what about Mickey? Mickey, Wicked Mickey. Can I do that? Oh, hell yeah. Boom! We got the best name in the world. Wicked Mickey. That's one of those names that I like. Even only I can come up with that. Wicked Mickey. Because if you flip Mickey, it's Wicked, and if you flip Wicked, it's Mickey. Flip. Either way, that'll work for me. Alright. Player 1? That's not bad. Wonder if it's optional. Hold on. Find out. It's already in use. Damn. Because a lot of people see me use this too. I probably had to change it to something else. Let's go for something that looks like a mouse. Well, that's always going to be a trouble. That's it. And of course, IGG's like, hold it. I got you, brother. I don't know. That's fine. We'll just use the one we have. That's fine. We don't need to overdo it. Let's see. Probably go ahead and see, look at that. 33%. Looks like, yeah, that's pretty bad. Which I hate it when I like get my menus all stuck in there. I don't like that. I was wondering why it was doing that to begin with. I was like, well, that's a little weird. Why is it doing that? I thought it was like moving my mouse and shit. I'm like, what the hell? Nah, it's just the game. If you're wondering, I play the game within BlueStacks, so basically just an emulator, but still, every time I do this, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a 50-50. So we're down to the last 33 minutes. I'd say it's probably safe to assume that if anybody comes by and hits me in the next 30 minutes, they're fucking asking for it. But I'll wait a little bit sooner than that, because I know how it is. People will wait till the last goddamn minute, and they'll still try to hit you, because that's just how they roll. However, what we probably can do is we can probably go ahead and pop a 24. I'm not going to play... I think what I'll do is I'll play dead on my alt and use my main to play for a little while. And every once in a while, if we get a solo or we get a rally, we'll pop back over here and we'll look at it and we'll kind of digest it, you know. And I don't know. I mean, I plan on making a video after the stream, and that's just going to be a kind of a collection of everything that happened. So if you guys happen to miss out, I'll still have a video of it, but I'll go through and condense all the good bits. That way it's, you know, it's somewhat digestible. It's just one of those things where it's like whenever I try to write up content for fucking Lawrence, it's like, God, how do I do this? What do I do? How do I do it? Yeah, I can ask Google 1,000 different questions, but I always ask it, how the hell do I make something entertaining and not bore the living hell out of me at the same time? Because that's kind of a challenge in and of itself. Now, I'm going to go ahead real quick. Take me a second. I'll put the jar of hell away real quick. I say this without warning, but that jar of hell could very easily cause a whole lot of problems. The other thing is that I am running low on rum. Oh, that's kind of neat. It's like all invisible and everything. Ain't that nice? Look at me, I've disappeared myself. Got my own invisibility cloak. Alright, well, let's see here. Okay. As far as gear goes, I don't think I'll change it anytime soon. So like 2.5. I like how, as far as resources go, it's like hardly any. But that's not surprising. Capped on 175 so far. Click a million times, go on your way to clear this. No, I just don't. I like don't even. See, for some people, it drives them nuts. Me, I've like gotten used to the exclamation points, so I just don't even bother. I just see them and go, "Oh, okay." You know, it's just like another button to make it go away. You know, some people they make it go away, and they're like, OCD completed. You know, but meanwhile, I'm just like, eh. $30 skin to have a horse that floats. You can have a floating horse. Oh, I remember the time when I was trying to do these. Aw, man. I was kind of hoping that might work. I don't know. That's how I got the first 4 stars. I was just doing it by pure luck. But that's fine. Alright, so everything else looks like it'll check out. I'd say the only thing I probably ought to do... we can do a little bit of Coliseum real quick. We got the ranks, why not? And yeah, I'm not really gonna focus in on this too much. I'm just gonna point blank do it. Because it's pretty much just... I mean, if it makes it great. But probably swap it out for Rose Knight here. Let me do that. Take it all. I fucking the one time when I do it and it doesn't save it. God damn it. Whatever. Hitting guards, it really doesn't matter. All right. I can still taste the pepper shit that I had earlier. I mean, that's the thing about ghost pepper, you know. It's like once you get that stuff in your system, it does not leave. It doesn't want to leave. It just like constantly harasses you. It gets in your goddamn lungs. It's such an irritant that your whole body will just not have none of that shit. It just won't. But at least now we've got 42 gems coming in, so that's good. Let's see. I was thinking I'd do a Jade Worm on this at one point. As you might imagine, I don't have any fragments, so that's kind of a deal breaker, but I wonder if I have any runes left over that I don't need. And not enough for it to matter. Doesn't look like anyway. The runes that I do have are on the pay-to-win ones, which I'm not gonna break. Oh, okay. Maybe this one. This is our best bet. Okay, let's just go ahead and waste them on this. So I can get a bonus to inf, or I can get a bonus to range. I'm thinking range would be good. There we go. So I got a little bit of a bonus there. Just a wee bit of a tiny bonus there, but that's, you know, little steps. Little steps, man. Little steps. Alright, so let's see, what else do we have? It looks like I got SDA. I'll go ahead and use up all that. Yeah. And there's, you know, 3,000 medals, by the way. A whole whopping 3,000 medals. I've been doing it on Death Archer intentionally, though, because you get, on her particular run of this event, right? You, on Elite anyway, you're getting 15-minute speeds. It's the only reason why. Other than that, I really don't care. If I was to go back, though, in case anybody didn't know this, you could, at any point, click on this, click on this, and then you can actually go down into, I believe it's in here, or is it in the other place? I forget. No, it's the other place. My bad. I want to say it's in here. So in here, you've got your metals. So like here, I got 3,000. I can sell all 3,000 metals or so, and I can get 13 million gold. If I needed gold in a hurry, I could just pop her metals and I'd have gold in a very short period of time. If you do that consistently every day, it adds up. Now, obviously, you can do that with, you know, other things too. So, like, you know, you need other places to earn gold. You know, this is another way to do it. Like, you know, for example, there's like another mill there. These are kind of the funniest ones of them all. You know, half a mil there, or if the beefs, and sell them for 300 and get 2.5, you know. But turkeys are kind of fun because those are, as you can tell, it's like no one ever sells those because, I mean, who wants to? Kind of a pain. What is this guy on about? Oh, okay. Oh, like, what the hell's the deal here? I thought he was getting head or something. Alright, as far as bags go, I mean, I'm at 4 bill, 2 bill, 2 bill, 2 bill, 4 bill, almost. So I'm not hurt on resources by any amount. So, let's see, what else is there? So on my main account, I've got 30 million gold. I could probably turn around and that over real quick. Not really any sense in leaving it on my account. I think we'll start out by having this account do all the majority of the work. Three times here. Let's see, do I have ship ahoy? No, I don't. Okay, so I'm out 13 hours on the 4-hour gather round, so I'm pretty much stuck on what I got for now. Just fine. At this point, see what the timer. 22 minutes. All right, 22 minutes on the clock. Not far from it. I'm gonna go ahead and get another glass. I'm gonna get a glass of water real fast so we can kind of do KBK and stuff. So I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. I got myself some water. So anyway, oh boy, we got a whole whopping fucking 20 minutes. Hey, Crim. This will be interesting. I'll tell you that much. I mean, what comes of it, I really don't know, but we'll go ahead and I will start the stream, but stop and start it, basically, is what I'm going to do. And then we'll really get into the nuts and gritty, because I think at the prep side of it, I think we're pretty much good to go. I don't think I want to change anything comp-wise. I don't think I'll need to. I thought about it, but let me see, like, this is the thing. It's like, I've basically what I'm going to do, I think it's this KBK. I'll play the KBK. But I've got the research and the troop training speeds to start building or rebuilding to make that comp that we were talking about last week. We'll just see how things play out, and we'll go from there. I think it's really how we're going to do this. So, that said, I'll be back, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and stop the stream and restart the stream, basically. That way, for everybody that watches the prep versus the people that watch the actual thing, I guess. I don't know. That was my running logic for it anyway. So, I'll be back.